I am going to skip the California atmospheric river shit and dive directly into the drone wars.
The war in Ukraine and escalating tensions between the U.S. and Russia after a Russian warplane forced down an American drone over the Black Sea. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz has the story. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. This morning, the U.S. searching for that downed multi-million-dollar drone after a Russian pilot essentially hot-dogging an international airspace collided with the drone. It has never happened before. A collision.
One of the funniest takes from the American government on this was that they said dumping its payload or dumping its fuel was actually environmentally fucked up. They said dumping the Russian plane, dumping its fuel in front of the drone was fucked up on the environment. Do you understand that? Do you understand how fucking funny that is? Like, not to get all Elizabeth Warren with it, but the carbon footprint of the U.S. military is like unimaginable. The United States may or may not have blown up a fucking Russian pipeline deliberately, which caused one of the largest fucking gas leaks in human history. Now, we don't know. Allegedly, the U.S. did it, but what we do know is, well, Russia didn't do it, it seems. It seems that it was actually fucking pro-Ukrainian random people that randomly happened to find bombs and randomly happened to know how to dive, do a fucking pipeline, randomly happened to evade everything, right? Evade all the authorities and all the scrutiny, and we're able to do it randomly because they love Ukraine. That's what the official story is now. Now, but again, I digress. It's very stupid to just be like, I can't believe the environmental impact when the DOD is the single largest consumer of fossil fuels and the largest greenhouse emitter. Exactly.
Between a U.S. drone and a Russian warplane. While reckless interceptions are common, like this one in 2020, this time was far different. 2 Russian fighter jets making 19 passes at high speed by the U.S. drone over a 30-minute period, spraying the drone with fuel multiple times. On the last pass, one of the fighter jets flying vertically towards the drone, colliding with the drone's rear propeller and bringing it down.
They collided with the aircraft, damaging the propeller and essentially putting in a situation where it was unflyable and uncontrollable, so we brought it down.
The drone's propeller was bent, but the U.S. was able to...
M-HUD says, when an American sees oil being wasted...
No. Wait.
That's why they're offended personally. Me personally, I'm just offended that you wasted the oil. Like, that's kind of fucked up.
No. Wait.
Me personally, I wouldn't take it. Why are they acting like the drone was a brave American soldier who got personally tortured? Because the media loves fucking pushing war narratives, and this is like a good way to try and make it seem like it wasn't just an interception gone wrong, but instead a deliberate act of violence against the U.S. military and America's hegemonic power status, and that Americans should feel the shame that a nation with a significantly smaller GDP that we have been trying to excise out of the global marketplace, even though they currently hold on to the oil. They currently hold on to a lot of influence on the oil and gas supply around the planet. That we should fucking escalate tensions and possibly strike back.
Guide the drone away from where it collided and into the Black Sea. A big question at the Pentagon, was this simply a reckless interception that got out of control, or was the collision done on purpose?
Just demonstrative of very unprofessional.
Dude, why is every fucking military admiral guy have this exact same haircut? This is completely unrelated to the story at hand, but every single one of these motherfuckers has the same haircut, dude. It's crazy. I don't get it. It's so funny. It's like, this is like the American version of the Japanese samurai haircut. You know what I'm talking about? The bald but top knot. Like, the American military boot cut is so good. Identical. You know they're only allowed to have very specific haircuts, right? I do, but like, I'm talking about the way that it balds. Guys, please. You know I'm not talking about the high and tight. You know that, right? Like, that's not what I'm talking about, chat. I'm talking about how he's balding. It's always like this. It's the exact same balding pattern. Of course, I'm not talking about the fucking freedom fade or whatever. No, I'm talking about the very specific male pattern baldness. Okay? That's also standard issue, turns out.
Unsafe airmanship on the part of these pilots.
The Russians are claiming the drone was flying southwest of the Crimean Peninsula toward Russia's border and crashed because of sharp maneuvering, and that the Russian jets never came into physical contact with the drone. Late yesterday, the U.S. summoning Russia's ambassador to the State Department.
We don't want any confrontation between the United States and the Russian Federation. We are in favor of pragmatic relations.
And it's no wonder U.S. Air Force official tells us they do not believe the Russian pilot did this on purpose, instead saying the Russian pilot was simply incompetent and flat out dumb. George?
Okay, Martha, thanks very much. Speaking of the top spokesman for the National Security...
Yeah, it's pretty obvious to me, at least, that like they are also not in favor of somehow escalating tensions against Russia here. That even they're like, yeah, the pilot was a doo-doo caca head. And they're not like... I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're interested in like, increasing anything else, like increasing any like serious escalation. They just keep saying like, yeah, it seems like the stupid dumbass pilot did a dumbass bad wrong thing. A big dum-dum, a big dummy. Now, of course, it doesn't change the reality that do I think America is going to keep sending drones into that region? Of course they are, obviously. I'm sure this will happen. I'm sure this will happen again.
Councilor John Kirby. John, thanks for joining.
It was a forward observation group. They're taking claim on Instagram for the pipeline. Please check them out. They openly work with the U.S. military and are constantly training with them, U.S. personnel. I'm sorry, brother, but if you think that I'm going to look at a fucking Instagram post that says we are the reason that the pipeline blew up and then cover that as like a real thing, I don't know what to tell you, okay? Like, I have no capability to fact check that, but immediately, my first inclination is absolutely fuck no. Am I going to take something on Instagram seriously? Like, that's crazy. Like, they didn't even post on Twitter. You know what I mean? They posted on Instagram. Motherfuckers are looking at Rap TV. Yeah, literally. Like, Instagram probably as a Facebook affiliated platform is where even more fake news happens than Twitter. So that's a meme about forward observation. They're just the IG t-shirt brand. Oh my God. Oh my God. That chatter believed a fucking t-shirt. Oh my God. A t-shirt ad. That forward. Oh God. That forward observation group is the fucking is the PSYOP girl, right? It's like her other brand that she associates with on Instagram. The PSYOP girl that we looked into before. So Chatter saw the PSYOP chick, thought she was fucking hot, turned around and actually followed the forward observation Instagram post because the PSYOP girl promoted them, and then got duped by a fucking t-shirt ad. You fell for the fucking... God damn it, dude. Oh, God. We are never going to see the pearly gates, okay?
Joining us again. So is that the conclusion? Just a dumb move?
That's what it looks like right now, George. I mean, we'll still try to see what we can do to do the forensics on this, but it, at the very least, looks like this was just reckless behavior by a Russian pilot.
But there's still a danger, even if this was chalked up to incompetence. I know you called in the Russian ambassador yesterday. What was the message?
Yeah, we're not minimizing this. I mean, you don't bring in the Russian ambassador because you're failing to take something seriously. We are taking it seriously, and the message was, don't do this again. We're going to continue to fly in international airspace over international waters where this drone was.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. No. That's not it. Stop it. They have pictures of them training all over their IG, asshole. You do not want me to look through the post and then rip you a new asshole. You will not understand the meaning of asshole until you fucking get me to literally look through it and make fun of you for the next 35 minutes. You should be excited at the prospect of me not fucking pulling this information and then making a mockery of you over and over again. Stop. You should be thankful instead of calling me a fucking asshole.
That's going to continue, and we expect the Russians to observe international law and to not interfere with our legal operations.
The danger is that an accident could just start an escalation. How do we prevent that?
Well, one thing is the lines of communication staying open. So, good that we could bring the Russian ambassador here in Washington into the State Department. And it's good that there are other lines of communications. There's a deconfliction line between U.S. European Command and the Russian Ministry of Defense when it comes to the eastern flank airspace of our NATO allies. So we have ways of communicating with the Russians directly, and that's a good thing. That's one way to try to minimize the risk of miscalculation.
Are you concerned, though, about Russians escalating in other ways as they're bogged down in Ukraine?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I mean, I think escalation concerns have been with us since the beginning of this war, George. And you don't know exactly what Mr. Putin's going to do on any given day or how he's going to react to any outcomes on the battlefield. That said, we're also wholly committed to making sure that Ukraine can continue to succeed on the battlefield. So that if and when it comes to the table, Mr. Zelensky can succeed there. We're going to continue to provide support to Ukraine as they fight this war, very vicious war in the Donbass area, and potentially offensive operations by the Russians here that might kick off here in weeks and months ahead. Just today, George, Secretary Austin and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, are going to be holding yet another contact group meeting, this one virtual from the Pentagon. They'll come out and talk to the press after that to talk about all the things that we're doing with allies and partners to make sure that Ukraine is ready for the fighting that we think will be renewed here come spring.
How about the drone? Are you concerned the technology could fall into Russian hands?
Without getting into too much detail, I can tell you that we're very comfortable that that should anything be taken by the Russians, their ability to exploit useful intelligence will be highly minimized. That said, it's our property, and obviously we're looking to see what we can do to maybe recover. That will be challenging in the Black Sea, and it's very, very deep water, but it's our property.
Okay, John Kirby, thanks as always for your time.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning.
Damn, dude. Robin Roberts trying to wake you our asses up, and you won't even listen to it. Hear about what Russia had to say about the U.S. drone that crashed. Don't really care. We're moving on from that.
A federal judge.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal, and it doesn't seem like the Pentagon is trying to make a bigger deal out of it, but the media will definitely try to make a bigger deal out of it as best as they possibly can. And then when they successfully are able to brainwash a bunch of people, you'll hear it in the chat because they'll turn around and come into my community and say, Hasan, how dare you? That drone had a family. What the fuck are you talking about? That drone operator actually got really scared and got a heart attack or something. They'll try to humanize the drone as best as they possibly can. They'll talk about the, property damage aspect or some shit like it's a big deal. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to think about right now because I don't think like either side wants it to go any further than it actually is. Yeah, there's a John Oliver take on federal aid. We're going to talk about that later. That drone was a pastor of his church. That drone op was disabled. What do you think about it now? I still have the same take. The response to this versus the Chinese balloon is laughable. The response to this versus the Chinese balloon is exactly the same, by the way. It's just pro-America. When America's in the Black Sea and Russia fucking fucks around and causes one of our drones to fall near their fucking coastline, it doesn't matter. It was still Russia's fault. The response to the Chinese balloon, when a fucking Chinese surveillance balloon unfortunately flies into U.S. airspace and then America blows it up, then it's like, holy shit, this is an act of war. The one component is the media. The same group of people are just also still banging on the fucking war drums. My take is identical. I said it didn't matter when America or when the Chinese balloon was fucking flying over America. The other one, The one was international. The other one wasn't. These aren't the same. Okay, I know that it was over international waters. That's why they didn't like fucking laser it, but instead, fucked around with it while they were intercepting it. Okay? And also, I understand why America blew up the Chinese balloon, even though I think it's funny. Okay? Like, the semantics different. The semantics different in this regard is completely irrelevant to the point of contention or the point of the conversation, because neither of which matters. Okay? Neither of it is like important.